Tuesday, 30 June 1942. Dear Kitty, I've not had a moment to write to you until today. I was with friends all day on Thursday. On Friday we had visitors, and so it went on until today. Harry and I have got to know each other well in a week, and he has told me a lot about his life. He came to Holland alone and is living with his grandparents. His parents are in Belgium. Harry had a girlfriend called Fanny. I know her too, a very soft, dull creature. Now that he has met me, he realizes that he was just daydreaming in Fanny's presence. I seem to act as a stimulant to keep him awake. You see, we all have our uses, and queer ones too at times. Yopie slept here on Saturday night, but she went to Lee's on Sunday, and I was bored stiff. Harry was to have come in the evening, but he rang up at 6 p.m. I went to the telephone. He said, "Harry Goldberg here. Please, may I speak to Anna?" "Yes, Harry, Anna speaking." "Hello, Anna, how are you?" "Very well, thank you." "I'm terribly sorry I can't come this evening, but I would like to just speak to you. Is it all right if I come in 10 minutes? "Yes, that's fine. Goodbye." "Goodbye, I'll be with you soon." I quickly changed into another frock and smartened up my hair a bit. Then I stood nervously at the window watching for him. At last I saw him coming. It was a wonder I didn't dash down at once. Instead, I waited patiently until he rang. Then I went down, and he positively burst in when I opened the door. "Anna, my grandmother thinks you are too young to go out regularly with me, and that I should go to the Lures, but perhaps you know that I am not going out with Fanny any more." "No? Why is that? Have you quarreled?" "No, not at all. I told Fanny that we didn't get on well together, so it was better for us not to go out together any more. But she was always welcome in our home, and I hope I should be in hers. You see, I thought Fanny had been going out with another boy and treated her accordingly, but that was quite untrue. And now my uncle says I should apologize to Fanny, but of course I didn't want to do that, so I finished the whole affair. That was just one of the many reasons. My grandmother would rather I went with Fanny than you, but I shan't. Old people have such terribly old-fashioned ideas at times, but I just can't fall into line. I need my grandparents, but in a sense they need me too. From now on, I shall be free on Wednesday evenings. Officially, I go to wood-carving lessons to please my grandparents. In actual fact, I go to a meeting of the Zionist movement. I'm not supposed to because my grandparents are very much against the Zionists. I'm by no means a fanatic, but I have a leaning that way and find it interesting. But lately it has become such a mess there that I'm going to quit. So next Wednesday will be my last time. Then I shall be able to see you on Wednesday evenings, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and perhaps more." "But your grandparents are against it. You can't do it behind their backs." "Love finds a way." Then we passed the bookshop on the corner, and there stood Peter Vessel with 2 other boys. He said hello. It's the first time he has spoken to me for ages. I was really pleased. Harry and I walked on, and the end of it all was that I should meet him at 5 minutes to 7 in the front of his house next evening. Yours, Anna. Friday, 3 July 1942. Dear Kitty, Harry visited us yesterday to meet my parents. I had bought a cream cake, sweets, tea, and fancy biscuits, quite a spread. But neither Harry nor I felt like sitting stiffly side by side indefinitely, so we went for a walk, and it was already 8:10 when he brought me home. Daddy was very cross, and thought it was very wrong of me because it is dangerous for Jews to be out after 8 o'clock, and I had to promise to be in by 10 to 8 in future. Tomorrow I've been invited to his house. My girlfriend Yopie teases me the whole time about Harry. I'm honestly not in love. Oh, no, I can surely have boyfriends. No one thinks anything of that. But one boyfriend, or beau as Mother calls him, seems to be quite different. Harry went to see Ava one evening, and she told me that she asked him, "Who do you like best, Fanny or Anna?" He said, "It's nothing to do with you." But when he left, they hadn't chatted together any more the whole evening. "Now listen, it's Anna. So long, and don't tell a soul." And like a flash, she was gone. It's easy to see that Harry is in love with me. Rather fun for a change. Margot would say, Harry is a decent lad. I agree, but he is more than that. Mummy is full of praise. A good-looking boy, a well-behaved, nice boy. I'm glad that the whole family approves of him. He likes them too, but he thinks my girlfriends are very childish. And he's quite right. Sunday morning, Anna. 5 July 1942. Dear Kitty, our examination results were announced in the Jewish Theatre last Friday. I couldn't have hoped for better. My report is not at all bad. I had 1 Weeks Satis, a 5 for algebra, 2 6s, and the rest were all 7s or 8s. They were certainly pleased at home, although over the question of marks my parents are quite different from most. They don't care a bit whether my reports are good or bad, as long as I'm well and happy and not too cheeky. Then the rest will come by itself. I am just the opposite. I don't want to be a bad pupil. I should really have stayed in the 7th form in the Montessori school, but was accepted for the Jewish secondary. When all the Jewish children had to go to Jewish schools, the headmaster took Lise and me conditionally after a bit of persuasion. He relied on us to do our best, and I don't want to let him down. My sister Margot has her report too, brilliant as usual. She would move up with cum laude if that existed at school. She is so brainy. Daddy has been at home a lot lately, as there is nothing for him to do at business. It must be rotten to feel so superfluous. Mr. Coupuis has taken over Travis and Mr. Crawler the firm Colin and Company. When we walked across our little square together a few days ago, Daddy began to talk of us going into hiding. I asked him why on earth he was beginning to talk of that already. Yes, Anna, he said. You know that we have been taking food, clothes, furniture to other people for more than a year now. We don't want our belongings to be seized by the Germans, but we certainly don't want to fall into their clutches ourselves. So we shall disappear of our own accord and not wait until they come and fetch us. But, Daddy, when would it be? He spoke so seriously that I grew very anxious. Don't you worry about it. We shall arrange everything. Make the most of your carefree young life while you can. That was all. Oh, may the fulfillment of these somber words remain far distant yet. Yours, Anna. Wednesday, 8 July, 1942. Dear Kitty, years seem to have passed between Sunday and now. So much has happened, it is just as if the whole world had turned upside down. But I'm still alive, Kitty, and that is the main thing, Daddy says. Yes, I'm still alive indeed, but don't ask where or how. You wouldn't understand a word, so I will begin by telling you what happened on Sunday afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Harry had just gone but was coming back later. Someone rang the front doorbell. I was lying lazily reading a book on the veranda in the sunshine, so I didn't hear it. A bit later, Margot appeared at the kitchen door looking very excited. The SS have sent a call-up notice for Daddy, she whispered. Mummy has gone to see Mr. Van Daan already. Van Daan is a friend who works with Daddy in the business. It was a great shock to me. A call-up. Everyone knows what that means. I picture concentration camps and lonely cells. Should we allow him to be doomed to this? Of course he won't go, declared Margot while we waited together. Mummy has gone to the Van Daans to discuss whether we should move into our hiding place tomorrow. The Van Daans are going with us, so we shall be 7 in all. Silence. We couldn't talk any more, thinking about Daddy, who, little knowing what was going on, was visiting some old people in the Yudzi Invalid. Waiting for Mummy, the heat and suspense all made us very
Suddenly,
overawed.
the bell
and
rang
silent.
again.
That is Harry, I said. Don't open the door. Margot held me back, but it was not necessary, as we heard Mummy and Mr. Van Daan downstairs talking to Harry. Then they came in and closed the door behind them. Each time the bell went, Margot or I had to creep softly down to see if it was Daddy, not opening the door to anyone else. Margot and I were sent out of the room. Van Daan wanted to talk to Mommy alone. When we were alone together, in our bedroom, Margot told me that the call-up was not for Daddy, but for her. I was more frightened than ever and began to cry. Margot is 16. Would they really take girls of that age away alone? But thank goodness she won't go. Mummy said so herself. That must be what Daddy meant when he talked about us going into hiding. Into hiding? Where would we go? In a town or the country? In a house or a cottage? When? How? Where? These were questions I was not allowed to ask, but I couldn't get them out of my mind. Margot and I began to pack some of our most vital belongings into a school satchel. The first thing I put in was this diary. Then hair curlers, handkerchiefs, school books, a comb, old letters. I put in the craziest things with the idea that we were going into hiding. But I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. At 5 o'clock, Daddy finally arrived, and we phoned Mr. Coupuis to ask if he could come around in the evening. Fondant went and fetched Miep. Miep has been in the business with Daddy since 1933, and has become a close friend, likewise her brand-new husband, Hank. Miep came and took some shoes, dresses, coats, underwear, and stockings away in her bag, promising to return in the evening. Then silence fell on the house. Not one of us felt like eating anything. It was still hot, and everything was very strange. We let our large upstairs room to a certain Mr. Goodsmith, a divorced man in his 30s, who appeared to have nothing to do on this particular evening. We simply could not get rid of him without being rude. He hung about until 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, Miep and Hank Van Santen arrived. Once again, shoes, stockings, books, and underclothes disappeared into Miep's bag and Hank's deep pockets. And at 11:30 they too disappeared. I was dog-tired, and although I knew that it would be my last night in my own bed, I fell asleep immediately and didn't wake up until Mummy called me at 5:30 the next morning. Luckily, it was not so hot as Sunday. Warm rain fell steadily all day. We put on heaps of clothes as if we were going to the North Pole, the sole reason being to take clothes with us. No Jew in our situation would have dreamed of going out with a suitcase full of clothing. I had on 2 vests, 3 pairs of pants, a dress, on top of that a skirt, jacket, summer coat, 2 pairs of stockings, lace-up shoes, woolly cap, scarf, and still more. I was nearly stifled before we started, but no one inquired about that. Margot filled her satchel with schoolbooks, fetched her bicycle, and rode off behind me up into the unknown, as far as I was concerned. You see, I still didn't know where our secret hiding place was to be. At 7:30 the door closed behind us. Murchi, my little cat, was the only creature to whom I said farewell. She would have a good home with the neighbors. This was all written in a letter addressed to Mr. Goodsmith. There was 1 pound of meat in the kitchen for the cat, breakfast things lying on the table, stripped beds, all giving the impression that we had left helter-skelter. But we didn't care about impressions. We only wanted to get away, only escape and arrive safely, nothing else. Continued tomorrow. Yours, Anna. Thursday, 9 July, 1942. Dear Kitty, so we walked in the pouring rain, Daddy, Mummy, and I, each with a school satchel and shopping bag filled to the brim with all kinds of things thrown together anyhow. We got sympathetic looks from people on their way to work. You could see by their faces how sorry they were they couldn't offer us a lift. The gaudy yellow star spoke for itself. Only when we were on the road did Mummy and Daddy begin to tell me bits and pieces about the plan. For months, as many of our goods and chattels and necessities of life as possible had been sent away, and they were sufficiently ready for us to have gone into hiding of our own accord on July 16th. The plan had had to be speeded up 10 days because of the call-up, so our quarters would not be so well organized, but we had to make the best of it. The hiding place itself would be in the building where Daddy has his office. It will be hard for outsiders to understand, but I shall explain that later on. Daddy didn't have many people working for him. Mr. Crawler, Coupuis, Miep, and Elie Vossen, a 23-year-old typist, who all knew of our arrival. Mr. Vossen, Ellie's father, and 2 boys worked in the warehouse. They had not been told. I will describe the building. There is a large warehouse on the ground floor which is used as a store. The front door to the house is next to the warehouse door, and inside the front door is a second doorway which leads to a staircase, A. There is another door at the top of the stairs with a frosted glass window in it, which has office written in black letters across it. That is the large main office, very big, very light, and very full. Ellie, Miep, and Coupuis work there in the daytime. A small dark room containing the safe, a wardrobe, and a large cupboard leads to a small, somewhat dark second office. Mr. Crawler and Mr. Van Daan used to sit here. Now it is only Mr. Crawler. One can reach Crawler's office from the passage, but only via a glass door which can be opened from the inside, but not easily from the outside. From Crawler's office, a long passage goes past the coal store, up 4 steps, and leads to the showroom of the whole building, the private office. Dark, dignified furniture, linoleum and carpets on the floor, radio, smart lamp, everything first class. Next door there is a roomy kitchen with a hot water faucet and a gas stove. Next door, the WC. That is the first floor. A wooden staircase leads from the downstairs passage to the next floor, B. There is a small landing at the top, and there is a door at each end of the landing, the left one leading to a storeroom at the front of the house and to the attics. One of those really steep Dutch staircases runs from the side to the other door, opening onto the street, C. The right-hand door leads to our secret annex. No one would ever guess that there would be so many rooms hidden behind that plain gray door. There's a little step in front of the door, and then you are inside. There is a steep staircase immediately opposite the entrance, D. On the left, a tiny passage brings you into a room which was to become the Franck family's bed-sitting room. Next door, a smaller room, study, and bedroom for the 2 young ladies of the family. On the right, a little room without windows containing the wash basin and a small WC compartment, with another door leading to Margot's and my room. If you go up the next flight of stairs and open the door, you are simply amazed that there could be such a big light room in such an old house by the canal. There is a gas stove in this room, thanks to the fact that it was used as a laboratory, and a sink. This is now the kitchen for the Van Daan couple, besides being general living room, dining room, and scullery. A tiny little corridor room will become Peter Van Daan's apartment. Then, just on the lower landing, there is a large attic. So, there you are. I've introduced you to the whole of our beautiful secret annex. Friday, yours, 10 July, 1942. Dear Kitty, I expect I have thoroughly bored you with my long-winded descriptions of our dwelling, but still I think you should know where we've landed. But, to continue my story, you see I've not finished yet. When we arrived at the Prinsengracht, Miep took us quickly upstairs and into the secret annex. She closed the door behind us, and we were alone. Margot was already waiting for us, having come much faster on her bicycle. Our living room and all the other rooms were chock full of rubbish, indescribably so. All the cardboard boxes which had been sent to the office in the previous months lay piled on the floor and the beds. The little room was filled to the ceiling with bedclothes. We had to start clearing up immediately if we wished to sleep in decent beds that night. Mummy and Margot were not in a fit state to take part. They were tired and lay down on their beds. They were miserable, and lots more besides. But the 2 clearers-up of the family, Daddy and myself, wanted to start at once. The whole day long we unpacked boxes, filled cupboards, hammered and tidied, until we were dead beat. We sank into clean beds that night. We hadn't had a bit of anything warm the whole day, but we didn't care. Mummy and Margot were too tired and keyed up to eat, and Daddy and I were too busy. On Tuesday morning we went on where we left off the day before. Ellie and Miep collected our rations for us. Daddy improved the poor blackout. We scrubbed the kitchen floor, and were on the go the whole day long again. I hardly had time to think about the great change in my life until Wednesday. Then I had a chance, for the first time since our arrival, to tell you all about it, and at the same time to realize myself what had actually happened to me and what was still going to happen. Yours, Anna.